What if I told you that attraction isn't built by what you say, but by what you never say at all? The quiet signals your body sends when you think no one's watching. Eye contact that lingers just a second longer than expected has a strange kind of power. Quiet, almost invisible, but deeply felt. Most people either avoid eye contact too quickly or hold it in a way that feels forced or intense. But there's a subtle middle ground where attraction begins to grow naturally. It's not about staring, it's about timing. When you look into her eyes and hold that gaze just a moment longer than what feels normal, something shifts. That extra second creates a pause in the interaction, a break from the usual rhythm people are used to. It signals that you're not nervous, not distracted, and not rushing to escape the moment. Instead, you're fully present, and presence is rare. But the key is softness, not intensity. Your eyes shouldn't feel like they're trying to prove something. They should feel relaxed, almost curious, like you're genuinely taking her in rather than analyzing her. This makes the moment feel safe, yet slightly charged at the same time. Then comes the most important part. You look away first, but calmly. Not abruptly, not awkwardly, just a smooth shift of focus, as if you chose to break the moment, not because you had to, but because you wanted to. That small action flips the dynamic. It leaves her wondering why you held the gaze and why you let it go so effortlessly. That's where the magic happens. Because now, instead of you chasing attention, her mind starts replaying that moment. It felt different, unspoken, but meaningful. And when something feels meaningful without explanation, it stays longer in memory. Controlled pauses are one of the most overlooked yet powerful ways to create emotional tension. Most people are uncomfortable with silence, so they rush to fill every gap with words. They respond instantly, speak continuously, and move conversations forward without ever letting a moment breathe. But when you learn to pause, intentionally and calmly, you shift the entire dynamic. A well-placed pause does something subtle but powerful. It creates anticipation. When you don't respond immediately, even for just a second or two, it signals that you're not reacting out of need or nervousness. You're choosing your response. That alone communicates confidence and emotional control. It shows that you're present, but not desperate to fill space. The key is not to overdo it. This isn't about becoming slow or awkward. It's about letting certain moments stretch just slightly longer than expected. For example, when she says something meaningful or playful, instead of jumping in right away, you hold eye contact for a brief second, maybe let a faint smile appear, and then respond. That tiny delay creates a sense of depth. It makes the interaction feel more intentional, more charged. Pauses also give emotions time to build. When there's a brief silence, her mind naturally tries to fill it. She starts wondering what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you'll say next, and that curiosity pulls her deeper into the moment. Instead of a fast, forgettable exchange, the interaction becomes something she experiences more intensely. Over time, these small pauses change how she perceives you. You're no longer just another person talking, you become someone who controls the pace, someone who isn't rushed by the need to impress. And that sense of calm control creates a quiet tension that lingers, making even simple conversations feel unexpectedly powerful. Subtle mirroring is one of those things people rarely notice consciously, yet they feel it almost instantly. It's the quiet alignment of energy, posture, and rhythm that makes someone feel like you just get them. When done naturally, it creates an unconscious sense of comfort and connection that words alone can't achieve. Most people think mirroring means copying someone exactly, but that's where they go wrong. Obvious imitation feels unnatural and can even be off-putting. Real mirroring is delayed, soft, and barely noticeable. It's about picking up on her pace, her tone, her body language, and then gradually syncing with it in your own way. If she's speaking calmly and slowly, you don't rush your words. You ease into that same rhythm. If she leans in slightly during a conversation, you might follow after a few seconds, not immediately. That delay is important because it keeps everything feeling organic instead of mechanical. It should look like coincidence, not strategy. What this does is create a sense of familiarity. Humans are naturally drawn to people who feel similar to them, even if they can't explain why. When your body language aligns with hers, It sends a quiet signal that you're on the same wavelength. It reduces resistance, lowers her guard, and makes the interaction feel smooth and effortless. There's also an emotional side to it. When someone feels subtly mirrored, they feel understood without needing to explain themselves. And that feeling is powerful. It creates trust faster because she senses that you're tuned in, not just hearing her words, but absorbing her presence. Over time, this unconscious connection deepens. The conversation flows more naturally, the silences feel comfortable instead of awkward, and the overall interaction starts to feel different from the usual. Not forced, not overdone, just easy. And that ease is what makes someone want to stay a little longer, listen a little more, and feel a little closer without even realizing why. A calm, grounded posture communicates confidence long before you ever say a word. People constantly read body language, and your posture is one of the strongest signals they pick up on. When you stand or sit in a relaxed yet upright position, it sends a message of stability, self-assurance, and emotional control. You don't need exaggerated movements or dominant gestures. True confidence looks effortless. Grounded posture starts with balance. Your feet should feel steady, your weight evenly distributed, your body relaxed but aligned. Shoulders stay naturally back, not stiff, not forced, just open. The chest isn't puffed out and the body isn't slouched. Instead, there's a neutral, comfortable alignment that suggests you are at ease in your own space. That ease is powerful because it shows you are not trying to impress anyone. When someone sees you moving slowly and deliberately, it creates a sense of calm around you. Quick, restless movements often signal nervousness or uncertainty, but controlled motion tells a different story. It shows that you are comfortable taking up space without apology, and that comfort is attractive because it reflects inner security. Grounded posture also influences how others feel in your presence. When your energy is steady, conversations become more relaxed. People instinctively mirror that calmness. They feel less pressured and more open. Your physical stability creates emotional stability in the interaction. Another important aspect is stillness. Confident people don't fidget unnecessarily. They don't constantly adjust their clothing, tap their fingers, or shift nervously. Instead, they remain composed. That controlled stillness makes your presence feel stronger and more intentional. Ultimately, a calm, grounded posture communicates that you are not seeking validation. You are not competing for attention. You are simply present. And when someone feels that kind of quiet confidence, it naturally draws them in because stability feels safe, mature, and deeply reassuring. Strategic use of space is about understanding that distance can be just as powerful as closeness. Many people think attraction grows by staying constantly near someone, but in reality, a little space can create far more curiosity. When you intentionally manage physical distance, you influence how the other person feels in your presence. Space creates contrast. If you are always too close, the interaction can feel predictable. But when you slightly step back at the right moments, it changes the rhythm. That small shift makes the dynamic feel intentional rather than accidental. It introduces variety, and variety keeps attention alive. For example, during a conversation, you might lean in when something interesting is shared, showing engagement. Then, after the point is made, you naturally relax back into your own space. This subtle movement sends a signal of independence. It shows that you are comfortable both engaging and withdrawing without tension. That balance builds intrigue. Strategic space also prevents overexposure. When someone feels your presence constantly and without pause, the mind adapts quickly. But when there are small gaps, moments where you give room, they start to notice your absence, even if it's brief. That noticing creates curiosity. Curiosity leads to reflection. Reflection deepens emotional engagement. It's important that the use of space feels natural, not calculated. You're not playing games. You're simply allowing interactions to breathe. Confidence includes knowing that you don't need to fill every gap physically. Sometimes standing slightly apart, maintaining relaxed eye contact, and letting silence exist is enough. Space also communicates self-respect. When you don't crowd someone or chase proximity, you show that you value your own presence. That independence is attractive because it suggests emotional stability. When used thoughtfully, space becomes a tool that builds tension in a positive way. It keeps interactions dynamic, encourages anticipation, and allows curiosity to grow naturally over time. Microexpressions are the tiny, almost invisible facial movements that reveal genuine emotion before a person has time to control them. They last only a fraction of a second, but they carry powerful meaning. Unlike rehearsed gestures or planned expressions, microexpressions are spontaneous. That's why they feel authentic. People may not consciously notice them, but they definitely feel their impact. When you smile naturally, for example, the movement reaches your eyes. There's a slight softening around them, a subtle warmth that cannot be easily faked. This kind of expression communicates sincerity. It tells the other person that your reaction is real, not forced. Genuine emotion creates trust because it removes doubt. When someone feels that you are responding honestly, they feel safer engaging with you. Micro expressions also build connection during meaningful moments. A brief look of surprise, a quick flash of amusement, or a subtle sign of empathy can communicate more than words. These small signals show that you are emotionally present. Instead of maintaining a blank or overly controlled face, allowing natural reactions to appear without exaggeration makes interactions feel alive. The key is authenticity. Micro expressions should never be manufactured. They happen naturally when you are truly listening, observing, and engaging. The more present you are in a conversation, the more genuine your facial responses will become. That presence strengthens connection because it demonstrates attentiveness. Another powerful aspect is timing. When your micro expression appears at the right moment, such as a slight smile after a shared joke or a softening of the eyes during a thoughtful comment, it reinforces emotional alignment. It shows that you are emotionally in sync. Ultimately, micro expressions reveal what words sometimes hide. They communicate sincerity, awareness, and emotional depth. And when someone consistently sees genuine reactions from you, it builds comfort, trust, and a deeper sense of connection over time. Attraction is rarely loud. It doesn't need grand gestures or rehearsed lines. It grows in the silent moments, in the spaces between words, in the way someone feels around you without fully understanding why. Most people try too hard. They speak too much, move too fast, reveal too quickly. But the ones who truly stand out, they understand restraint. They understand presence. And most importantly, they understand how to communicate without speaking. There's a moment right before someone becomes emotionally invested where logic fades and feeling takes over. And in that moment, your body is speaking louder than your voice ever could. The way you hold eye contact, not aggressively, not nervously, but with calm certainty, creates a quiet intensity. You're not staring to impress. You're observing, as if you're genuinely interested in understanding her. And just before it becomes too much, you look away. Not out of fear, but control. That small break creates tension. And tension is what keeps thoughts lingering long after you're gone. Then there's the power of slowing down. Most people rushed words, rushed reactions, rushed movements. But when you deliberately pause before responding, when you let silence breathe for a second longer than expected, it changes everything. It shows you're not seeking approval. You're choosing your words, not chasing them. And in that pause, she starts to wonder what you're thinking. Curiosity begins to grow, and curiosity is the seed of obsession. Your body naturally starts to mirror hers, but not in an obvious way. It's subtle. If she leans in slightly, you follow after a moment. If her tone softens, yours adjusts. This isn't imitation, it's alignment. It tells her, without words, we're on the same wavelength. And people are drawn to those who feel familiar, even if they've just met. Posture plays a bigger role than most realize. When you stand or sit with a relaxed, grounded presence, shoulders easy, movements unforced, it signals something deeper than confidence. It shows comfort within yourself. And that kind of calm energy is rare. It makes her feel safe, but also intrigued, because you're not trying to prove anything. Space becomes your silent tool. You don't crowd it, and you don't avoid it. You step slightly closer at the right moments, then give just enough distance to let the feeling build. It's like a rhythm, approach and retreat. And in that rhythm, emotions intensify. She starts to feel your presence even when you're not directly engaging. And then there are the smallest expressions, the half smile that appears when she says something unexpected, the brief glance that softens before you look away, the genuine reaction that slips through without effort. These micro expressions are impossible to fake perfectly, and that's why they matter. They reveal authenticity, and authenticity is what makes everything else believable. You're not trying to impress her. You're creating an experience she feels but can't fully explain. And when someone can't explain why they're drawn to you, that's when they start thinking about you more than they plan to. From